Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the classroom with Architect Mark. Tonight, let's talk about something that I just actually recently found out that there was something like this. And in the new 2021 SketchUp update or redesign, they have this in a new form. Uh, it's called live components or live models, something like that. Anyway, let's head on over to our classroom and find out something about dynamic components, which is pretty cool, actually. All right, so to look at dynamic components, we need to import them into our scene. And we have a bunch of them here available to us with the program. And let's start off with the car. All right. So this is a very basic car, as you can see. Let's put it in the garage over there. Rotate it a bit. Place it there. Now, on the outside, it looks like it's a pretty basic uh, object, right? Nothing special about it. But this is a dynamic component, as is denoted by this symbol right here, this green symbol. Oh, yeah, I forgot the time. Okay, let me just do that now. Excuse me, guys. There we go. Okay, so it looks pretty actually uninteresting because the wheels aren't even high resolution, so they're gonna be falling as they're rolling around. However, if we call out the dynamic components tab here, you can see that there is a tool. This is the tab or call this. This is the toolbar. Let's put it back, and then this hand here is an interaction hand, and if you see it, it changes from a hand with a no symbol or null symbol. But when you move it around, it changes into an interaction symbol. And you can see if you hover long enough, the there's a flyout information that tells you what happens when you interact at that position. So here we can open or close the door. See that? And then we can even change the color by choosing over at the top or here at the hood of the car. So there are a few choices here. If we want a red car, we can do that. Let's close these doors and let's here the wheel, when you click it, it turns. Pretty cool, right? It's not very high in the customizability department, but it basically relies on how the dynamic component has been created. Now, what makes this interesting is that in a simple model like this, they were able to bake in uh, rotations and then even a material selector. But how did they do that? So let's find out with the component options and the component attribute buttons here. So the component options shows us information about this component, and we don't have options available to us here, but in the attributes we can see that there is a bit of function that is involved here. So like if you see here, the base is the car, and then when you click on the change color area, see, it shows up a blue ball, which on click animates and then applies the color material. At least that's what we're looking at here. Same here, and as with the white, red, and gray ball. So if you look at it, it's pretty complicated how this thing, oh, I'm sorry about that. It's pretty complicated how dynamic components are being put together. That's why it's really not recommended to do this by yourself, although you can. There are some tutorials available for you if you wanted to do that. But see here, if we analyze it, front door passenger, it applies a rotation on the Z axis, and then it says here that the trigger is a click, and then the code says to animate the rotation of Z by 0, 60, and 0. So that's 60 degrees most likely. So the back door, the front door. And you can see even here that the object needs to have its own positioning, and it will always be relative to a, an anchor within the model. So let's find out what more do we have here in terms of dynamic components that they let us try out. So there's a couch. Let's put this in here. And then once again, rotate it so that we can see. So let's try an interaction with the couch. Okay, we call up the interaction toolbar, and as you can see, there's nothing. You can't really interact with it. But it is a dynamic component, so let's check out the other options or attributes. So attributes, you normally don't, you can't really change these, or you can, but you might, mess up the model. So here in component options, we can identify the cushion width, and it says here to use the scale tool to change the width of the couch. So if we wanted to make it a longer couch, we use the scale tool. And as you can see, the scale tool is different from the regular one, which has handles uh, in 9 positions in each face, something like that. Here you get only one. It's a horizontal scale. And if you do that, see what happens to right now, the arm and the backrest look like they're going to be scaled out of proportion. But let's commit to the scale, maybe up to here. And as you can see, the chair, the sofa, dynamically changed the cushion width depending on this value, and it applied the, the same size for the armrest as it was originally. So an additional change would be, for example, if you change this to 300 or 1 foot of cushion, well, uh, it it doesn't respect our original scaling, but since I can imagine, well, you identified something here, so it must be fulfilled. So let's try again scaling this and see if we can get more. Did it end? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cushions. Yeah, I think that is the cushion limit that they put in here. So that means there can be one of these. Like, let's return it to something like 600. Scale it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's try it. Bigger one. Nope. So there is a hard limit on this particular component, which is uh, this specific length or 7 cushions long, depending on what is your cushion width. For example, if we make this 1200, more than likely it will allow us to scale further, at least until we get 7 of these cushions. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's try and scale up a little bit more. But no, there is indeed a hard cap. And let's check out the attributes, find out if they did put that in there. So, mm, bottom, cushion back, cushion leg. Yeah, it's a little bit weird to me how the... Oh, here it is. See that there's a cushion value here that says 6 copies. So let's try and oops. So it's a formula. So that's not actually what we need to be changing. Although right now it's 7, but it says 6 here. Or 6 copies of the original one, which makes 7 copies. So as you can see, dynamic components are pretty interesting pieces of SketchUp preview technology. Right now, the skill required to make one is not really, uh, it doesn't fit right in what SketchUp is and allows us to do. So even though these exist, the use cases for applying them into your model is a little bit limited. But they went on ahead and basically showed everyone that it is possible to put these in. But maybe if you were a manufacturer of a particular house element, like windows or uh, floor tiles, you could theoretically, with the proper background on how to manipulate these items here, because what it looks like basically is you model something, identify it with a name, and then put attributes on it. And that's how uh, dynamic components are created. Maybe they'll have more luck with live components, but if they fail to bring in manufacturers to this, it might just be dead in the water. But we shall see, and I will see you guys again next time. Take care and good night.